I'm going to show you how to use a variety of patterned metals and 3 different designs of an irregular oval to make a statement chain. The first thing you need to do is cut all of your blanks. I'm using remnants of patterned copper that I have around my studio. Most are 20 gauge, 18 gauge, might be some 16 in there. I would stick to 18 to 16 if I were making this chain out of silver. Insert your metal into the blank, center it in your press. Make sure to put an aluminum spacer on top and then cut out the blank. Next, you want to remove the extra copper from around the design. And if your metal is stuck in the pancake die, all you need to do is flip it over, hold it in your hand, and whack it a couple times with a rawhide or plastic mallet, and the blank will drop right out. Depending on how long you want your chain to be, cut out a bunch of different blanks in different sizes using different textured metals. You could even mix metals and do silver and copper, copper and bronze. You can mix it up and do whatever you'd like. Here is my collection of freshly cut copper blanks. Because these are irregular oval shapes, I'm using a pair of Joyce Chen shears to just roughly cut off the tab. You could use a jeweler's saw for more precision. I'm going to show you how to clean up these cut ends anyway, so the shears were just an easy choice. And here are the blanks with their tabs cut off. You can see here is the end where I trimmed the tab. So we want to smooth that out so that the lines mesh nicely into the perimeter of the oval. I'm using a half round hand file and taking long, smooth strokes. I am refining that trimmed end into a smooth curve. And then I'm also filing at an angle on the back to remove the burr that's left from cutting with a pancake die. And I work my way around the entire blank, making sure I remove that burr until it's smooth. Next, we want to turn each of these blanks into a washer, essentially. So I'm using a Sharpie to draw a very rough oval in the center of the blank. I'm making a divot using a scribe or an awl and then drilling a hole at that divot. I believe I'm using a number 65 drill bit, but you could use any drill bit size that is big enough for you to insert a saw blade later. And next comes the piercing. I am using a 2/0 saw blade, and I am cutting out the oval in the center of the blank. I'm not necessarily following the guideline that I drew perfectly, but because it's an irregular shape, I'm not worried about everything being perfectly symmetrical. To create an evenly shaped oval on the inside, I'm using a half round needle file, and this is just to smooth out any irregularities. I'm using a deburring tool to remove the burrs from the inside of the washer. These can be found at most hardware stores. They are used in the plumbing industry for deburring the insides of copper pipe. It does take a little bit of practice to get used to, and I'm definitely not proficient at it, but it does a really good job of quickly removing any of the burrs left from sawing. This tool does only work on inside surfaces, so I couldn't deburr the outside of the blank, but it works very well for this interior shape. I think I picked mine up at Home Depot or Lowe's, and it was maybe $6 or $7, so it's not a huge investment. It does leave some marks though, so you'll want to remove any chatter marks later. And there we go. To refine the edges of each piece, I am using a cartridge roll in my flex shaft. You can get these at most jewelry suppliers, and I even found some on Amazon. They are tightly wrapped rolls of abrasive paper, and when you wear the surface away, all you do is you tear a layer off of the cartridge and you have fresh, new abrasive paper to use. It's a really quick way to refine the edges of anything you're working on. You can see here in the bottom right, there are a few of these little chatter marks left from the deburring tool. So I'm just going to hit it really quick with that cartridge roll, and you'll see how quickly and easily it removes those marks. I believe I'm using 320 grit. And here are all of my washers cut and sanded and ready to slightly dome. I like to use our bracelet former frame and large synclastic bracelet former in the press with a puck of urethane. This is a 3-inch puck. You could definitely use a 2-inch puck. I place the washers texture side down and then use the former to create a slight dome in each piece. You do not have to anneal in any step of this project. In fact, it's better if you don't, so that you end up with a durable, strong finished product. Here are my finished links. You can see they are slightly domed, which just gives the piece a little bit more dimension. Next, it is time to assemble the chain. The size jump rings you use will be determined completely by the size of your links. The inside diameter of the jump ring needs to be large enough to accommodate the width of the two ends of the links you're joining. When the links are held straight, you don't want the ends of the copper links to touch or overlap. Attach the links into pairs and then attach those pairs into a longer length of chain. You can stagger the shapes however you'd like. You just want to make sure that when you're attaching two links together, that the textured sides are either facing away from each other or facing toward each other. That's going to keep all of your links oriented in the correct direction. And here is the completed chain before I've added a patina. You can see I kind of went with a large, small pattern, but you can do whatever pattern you'd like. I've staggered the textures so that no two links that are next to each other have the same texture. And you can see it's just a nice, bold chain. Alternatively, if you don't want to link them end to end, you can experiment with attaching them in a more three-dimensional shape to create sort of a bib necklace design. You'll have to experiment to see what pattern works best. Here is my finished chain link. I applied a liver of sulfur patina to the entire thing and then used pumice powder and water and used my fingers to remove the patina from the high spots, both on the jump rings and the links themselves. This highlights the texture and gives the piece a lot of dimension. And here is the final necklace. You can make this chain as long as you'd like. You could make a bracelet, anything that you would like. It's a very simple way to take a couple sizes of pancake dies, use up your scrap textured metal, and create a really bold necklace. Experiment with different materials, different textures, and see what you come up with. The possibilities are endless.